Hey everyone, and welcome back to See You Next Thursday. I'm Willow of Pixie Retreat.
And I'm Tree.
And today we are going to talk about this book, You Can Heal Yourself. And primarily, look how cool this is.
By Louise Hay.
By Louise Hay.
1970 style.
And what we are going to really focus on here is a powerful chapter that she dedicates to the affirmation. She's really into affirmations. I approve of myself. And this is emphasizing the importance of self-acceptance and self-love as the foundation for all the healing and personal transformation that most of us are working towards, are moving towards. She basically explains that the struggles that we are experiencing, whether they're personal healing struggles, financial struggles, emotional struggles, physical struggles, that they're all stemming from a lack of self-worth and just literally a lack of approving of our own selves. And this is not good. This lack of self-approval basically leads to deep-seated feelings of unworthiness. And that gets in the way of so much that most of us are trying to accomplish.
I mean, self-disapproval is the root of many problems. Most people,
everything is emotionally based.
Yeah.
So if we're not approving of ourselves on that deep level, then we are standing in our own way.
We're seeking it from external sources, and nobody's going to know better than us. And most people spend their lives, like I said, seeking external validation, fearing criticism, and feeling not good enough. And this comes from childhood conditioning, negative self-talk, and societal expectations that reinforce this self-rejection. But this internal lack of self-approval, what it does is it leads to low self-worth, self-sabotage, and even physical illnesses that manifest as a result of stuff that's brewing inside of us that we need to release. And so we often just talk about these topics because this is stuff that we're working on. And with the food piece and movement, exercise, yoga, whatever it is that is your thing, stretching, in tandem, putting them all together, and it really helps to, satisfy the physical elements. And the mental is such a big part of it. The mental and emotional and our spiritual well-being is equally as important to the food piece.
Yeah.
So
it's like recognizing how our self-criticism has basically shaped our experiences and begin to move towards self-acceptance. It's really, really important. So in this chapter, I approve of myself is a really powerful healing affirmation. And she basically teaches that repeating, I approve of myself, I approve of myself, I approve of myself, over and over and over again, reprograms negative thought patterns. When we affirm our worthiness, we begin to release guilt, shame, and self-judgment. And this affirmation builds self-confidence, it attracts positive experiences, and it allows deep healing to take place. So I would practice this by, a really great way to practice this is to, when you first get up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and just 10 times tell yourself that I approve of myself, Willow. I approve of myself. I approve of myself. I approve of myself. And then literally throughout your day, challenge yourself to say it 100 times to yourself in a day. Whether you're doing it silently in your head or you pass a mirror and you say it to yourself, however you choose to do this, doing this over and over and over again like that daily will reprogram a new positive thought form and habit.
yeah, if you find yourself in a scenario where it doesn't feel good, something happens in the day that makes you feel off, or someone said something to you that didn't feel good, just say, I approve of myself. And
it doesn't
watch
matter
things
if they
shift.
do.
No.
You need to. This external stuff doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter at all. I want to say one thing really quickly before you go on. I was reading the other day that as human beings, we think 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. But here's the really interesting part. 75 to 80% of those thoughts that we think daily are negative. And then here's the double down. 90 to 95% of those are repetitive. So if we are spending the bulk of our time every single day thinking negative thoughts, whether about other people, situations, ourselves, whatever, and we're doing that, and so in this nearly 60,000, let's say, let's just go in the middle and say 30,000 thoughts a day. So of those 30,000 thoughts, 75 to 80% of them are negative. And then that double down on the negativity is the repetition. So 85 to 90% of those thoughts, those negative thoughts, we are doubling down on. We are repetitively, thinking those thoughts, saying those thoughts, acting upon those thoughts.
And what's so great about this book is there's so many really good bits in it about ways to talk to yourself and to maneuver through situations that are really challenging or just even very basic, but just different ways to speak to yourself, to lift yourself out of a situation that might not feel good, or even if it's you're by yourself and stuff's moving through your mind that's bringing you down, your day is not going how you wanted it to go, or whatever it may be. If we speak to ourselves with love and learn to love ourselves, it's really interesting how everything can shift. And this is a moment-to-moment situation, I always like to say, because the mind's tricky. Mm-hmm. But so, like I said, the mind...
When you say the mind is tricky, what do you mean?
It plays tricks.
It's a trickster?
It does, it moves so fast and there's so many thoughts, and it's just, and a lot of the things we tell ourselves, they're not true. They're not accurate. They're not present moment. They might be from who knows when, and
from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago, from 3 weeks ago.
And if we just stay in the moment and I approve of myself, then the whole tone of the day can shift. So the mind will resist. And at first, resistance may arise in the form of negative thoughts, doubt, or old patterns resurfacing, or even old dialogue of someone important to you that told you who you were, and that's how they see you. And so then you feel like that's who you are, but really we're all ever growing, evolving species.
Constantly
and often
changing.
When we go out into the world on our own, those who knew us growing up, they can't see us who we are now. They want to see us who we were when we were small.
Well,
so
it makes everything more comfortable for everybody.
And we don't want to stay small. We're not small.
No, we're
expansive.
Right. We need to let that light shine
humans.
bright.
So this is a sign that deep-rooted beliefs are being challenged. Keep affirming it through the discomfort, because it's not always comfortable. It's definitely not. And that's why the thought patterns are really important. The more you say, I approve of myself, the more the subconscious mind accepts it as truth, and the more you'll see positive changes, and who knows how that will manifest. I mean, symptoms could be relieved, physical ailments, because what she does, she talks about how, for example, guilt, how it manifests in your body is pain. And that could come through any series of ways, and nobody wants to walk around with pain. So anyway, the takeaway to that is consistency is key. So, it's challenging to constantly be on this positive train, but the more we practice it, the more it becomes part of a habit, then maybe a routine, then it becomes more natural, And, then next thing you know, we're brighter in our energy sphere.
And we're pulling better experiences to us. We're pulling to us what it is we want, and not what we don't want.
Even if you don't believe it at first, keep repeating it until it feels real.
Natural, yeah.
Yeah.
So another self-approval transforms every single area of our life. In the health area, self-love removes emotional blocks that contribute to illness. Self-approval helps relationships. Approving of yourself allows you to attract loving and supportive people into your realm. Self-approval transforms success and abundance. When you believe that you are worthy, opportunities flow your way. Other people believe it too. You have to believe it first, and then other people will feel it and see it and respond to it the way that you want them to respond to it. And then also self-approval transforms your inner peace. Self-acceptance eliminates the need for external validation, and it really begins to silence that inner critic.
And everything improves when you truly believe that you're enough.
Yeah.
And
exactly as you are right now in this moment. I'm going to say I just need to approve of myself. I approve of you, Willow. I approve of you.
I approve of myself. It's not about my efforting. It's not about what I do. It's not about, what I'm wearing. I approve of myself, my innate inner being, my young 3-year-old self that was, wide-eyed and curious and very quiet. I was very quiet, taking it all in.
I was not.
Yeah, very opposite personalities here. So some way to kind of bring this into play is a daily practice for self-approval. And that's mirror work.
That's what I was talking about earlier, getting up and looking at yourself in the mirror.
And it's uncomfortable for a lot of people.
It's really uncomfortable. I mean, I would say it's uncomfortable for most people.
I mean, it's one thing to look in the mirror. It's another thing to look in the mirror and look directly at your eyes and see into your soul and feel that, and to speak to yourself in a positive way.
It's really...
Because how often do you say, like, oh, that was dumb. It's like, that was stupid. I shouldn't have said that, or whatever.
Like, oh my God, why did I just do that? We do more, like I said earlier, in those 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day, most of them are negative. I mean, only a quarter of them are not. 3/4 of them are negative.
So look into your eyes. In the mirror.
Look at yourself in the mirror and look
say
directly into your eyes.
I approve of myself. I approve of myself.
I approve of me.
And notice your emotions and keep going. Keep saying it. I approve of myself. Maybe 10 times. And maybe until you smile. And then get on with your bad self. Repetition. Say the affirmation as often as possible throughout the day, especially when
you're challenged.
Yeah, when you're challenged.
Especially when you're challenged. I mean, sometimes when I'm challenged, I say to myself, everything always goes your way, Willow. Everything always goes your way. Everything's always working out for you. Everything is always working out for you. And I'll do that until I feel better. And it's really helpful.
Journaling is another one.
This is just my hands down favorite is journaling.
Write down, I approve of myself, and do it 10 to 20 times each morning and night. And
watch things change.
See what happens the next day.
Watch things change.
Awareness is another one. Catching your negative self-talk and replacing it with self-approval. Patience. It all takes time, and
remember, you don't plant a seed and expect the flower to sprout out tomorrow. You tend to it, you nurture it, you water it, you say loving things to it, and then you see the fruits of your labor.
And be gentle with yourself.
Grace.
And realize that there's 24 hours in a day, and if you're having some kind of reaction to something, even if it's really intense, those intensities wear down. And, you know,
The momentum slows, it eventually stops.
The sun shines again. And, you know, and then night falls, and then you get to go into your dream state, which hopefully is interesting and uplifting. But yeah, I mean, I approve of myself.
I mean, it sounds so basic, doesn't it? It sounds so basic, but
it touches to the core, because self-worth is a really big thing when it comes to living the life that we want to live. And we want people to value us and value what we do, and to see us for who we are and who we know that we are. Well, if we want them to see those things, then we really have to express that, or radiate that energy.
It's really true.
Because then it's never a question. You can always tell when somebody is
confident.
When not just confident, but they're really in the flow and they're in alignment with self. And I'm not going to say that I meet people like that all the time, but when I do, you want to be around that energy.
You really do. It's that energy that feels really good. You know, by practicing I approve of myself daily, we're rewiring the mind. I got a piece of hair on my lip. And we're healing emotional wounds and unlocking a life filled with self-love and self-acceptance and self-approval. And this is how we become more abundant and find our well-being.
This book is, I don't know how easy it is to get these days.
I feel like it used to be like a really inexpensive book you can get, but I feel like the last time I sent this book to somebody, I searched for it and I paid a lot more than I ever had. I mean, I would go on to like thrift books, maybe. That's a good place to go check out and see if you can get a used copy. But I just love this.
I mean,
like,
there's
how
so
amazing.
many teachable moments in there, really. When I was reading it, it was hard to stop reading it because I just wanted to take it all in. And I feel like I just need to start reading it again, because there's so many things in there that just kind of lifted my mind. And
before you started reading it, if you don't mind me saying, you were kind of in a funk.
I was.
It's like you were kind of in a funk. You'd had a few weeks of just kind of being low, and I set this book out and you started reading it. I love this book. It's one of those books that you can read 100 times.
And then we started,
But I saw a lift. You've definitely had a lift since you picked the book up.
I was reading it at random times throughout the day, and then I finished it. But I'm gonna have to read it again, because it's a workbook too. It's a practice. So many things in here, and that, and just working on. We're doing our cleanse again, the 369, and these kinds of topics we like to discuss, along with these kinds of things we like to ingest. They're so helpful to make everything feel okay, and that everything is going our way and everything's working out. And
everything's
even when it
always
doesn't
working out.
Feel like it is.
It is.
We just have to tap into our inner knowingness and remember that, our needs are taken care of. And if we can help to work on the way that we talk to ourselves first and foremost, then our life will improve, whatever the circumstances are. Because the circumstances, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't necessarily dictate how your inner well-being goes. Your inner well-being, you can be in any scenario and find peace within yourself. But it does require work. It doesn't just come to us.
It's a practice.
I mean, some of us have a harder time than others. Some people have a really upbeat personality and they're just super positive all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot of people, but they exist. And when they do, it's like, but some people have a harder time to pull themselves up and to focus on things that are...
I mean, don't you think that kind of stems from the fact that most of us are moving from this place of not approving of ourselves, or of not feeling worthy? And that lack of self-worth It is. I mean, in all of her books, it's the crux. It's this lack of self-worth that holds us in a place and doesn't let us rise to our fullest potential. And really, this practice, it sounds so silly. I know that it does, but the truth is we have to start to take these habits of thought that we have, which, like I was just explaining, 75% to 80% of that is negative. So these are habits. So we just have to practice daily these new habits of affirming who we are, affirming that we approve of ourselves, affirming our worthiness, affirming that we deserve to be here, we deserve to get what it is we need to get or want to get, that we deserve this.
I approve of myself.
I approve of myself.
We hope you enjoyed.
Polite suggestion, approve of yourself too.
Yeah, get you some.
You are worthy. If you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.
Peace out.